All right, to remove the rear shock, if you can see right back in there, I'm trying to hold the light in this at the same time. Right here, this is your headlight leveler again. It's connected by a 10mm bolt to this arm right here. You're gonna disconnect that arm or that bolt with the 10mm. Be careful. Mine was kind of rusty, but it came off okay. Thank God. And after you remove that, you're gonna go to the back side. Of course, the spring is in the way on a VW. It wouldn't be any other way, you know? And this sits up like that, you know, struts going up there. And the back side of the back side of the strut is going to be a 21mm bolted right into there, into the bracket, mounting bracket. I had to hit it with a hammer to get it to break free, but once it came out, it was a pretty sturdy bolt. And then up here, there's those two holes. Don't worry about that third one on the bottom. That's not used. But those two were a 16mm bolt. Here's the bolts right here for those two. 1, 2. And then you got the 10mm bolt for the headlight levelers. And then the 21mm bolt for the bottom mounting bracket on the shock. So rear shock's pretty simple to come out, you know. The front struts are the ones that are a problem. All right, I'll get back to you with the spring removal in a second. All right, to remove the spring, all right, so these rear struts, you know, cross my fingers on the other side, they seem to be rear shock side, pretty easy to come out. So, you know, first, all right, well, I gave you the video on the shock, so now we're doing the spring. Right here on the lower control arm, you're going to have an 18mm bolt on this side, and on the opposite side, there'll be an 18mm nut. I used a little bit of flame to heat up the nut so it'd come off easier. Here's the nut, and here's the bolt. So 18mm goes in on this side. You're gonna put you're gonna loosen the bolt. After you get that, you're going to use a jack, floor jack or whatever, depending on if you're on jack or lift, you know, but I use my floor jack. And you're going to jack up the lower control arm until you can tap out that bolt pretty easy. You know, you might have to get a little pry bar or something on this side to, you know, I use a pickle fork to pry it out all the way. And then I was able to just wiggle it out with my hand. Then once you let the jack down, this thing is just really easy. And just pull out the strut or the spring, and now we're ready for install on the rear strut, shock and spring assembly. I'm gonna go get the other side done, and then I'll start my install. All right. And besides, you know, the jack, this is all I needed. I had an extension with, actually the extension goes with this 16mm for the top struts, or this top mounting bolts for the shock mount. This is a 13mm for actually nothing. I don't think I actually needed that either. So we had the 16mm and 18 mils. Oh, and a 21mm. That's it. Yep, 21, 18, 18, extension. Don't worry about that. And obviously a hammer and a jack. And that's all you need to take out the rear shock and spring. And that's it. Just wanted to add that in.